Hello. I'm gonna do some gear today. But first, a short hike. Okay. That's about my hike for today. Hello again. I wanted to go over all my gear and show you what I'm taking with me on my 2022 thru hike. You'll notice a little bit different than what I've shown before, and packed a little bit different too, but I'll go over that. Inside here this time, we currently have our new 0-degree sleeping bag, which I plan on using as an overquilt. So just basically keeping it unzipped. But it has a foot box. I like that. There's also my underquilt in here, and we'll look at that more detailed here in a minute. We also got my fuel. That is going to be my hammock over here. The hammock is, again, still the same Warbonnet hammock. Regular Warbonnet, Blackbird. It's not the XLC, but I'll go into details on that. Still bringing the bear can and everything that entails with the cooking and the toiletries and all that good stuff. I'll get deeper into the bear can later on. For here again, we got my Sawyer, my super light knife. Yes, this is an overkill knife for a trail like the Appalachian Trail, but it is really lightweight and it cuts really good, and that's the important part. This here is going to be my rigging. I'll go over my rigging, how I got my leads set up, how I set up my carabiners and S-beaners and knots that I'm using. This here will be my tarp. I will be setting up my tarp and going over how I got it all together. Again, I don't think it's the most efficient way, but it works for me and I'm still learning. Over there we got my rain pants, and I'm getting a storm alert on my watch. Nice. Would love some rain today. We got my clothes. We'll go through my clothes here in a little bit. Y'all could probably give me suggestions on which clothes will be better. And my old top quilt underneath the clothes. I'm still going to be bringing that with me. At least I plan to. I want to have both my old top quilt and my new sleeping bag, because I got special plans to try to fit that underquilt somehow between my underquilt and my sleeping bag to try to improve its thermal rating a little bit. Then over here we got my Catalyst pack with a rain fly, my pirated AT tag from last year, my never solo ribbon, which I'm still taking with me. And these little guys, these little S-beaners, has been some of the most helpful little guys ever. And I'll show you how I use these later on. Alright, let me get things set up here and see if I can shoot some footage of how it's gonna look. Today is super windy, as you could probably tell. I had to tie up my side panels for a little extra support. The wind seems to be coming broadside straight across that field and hitting broadside on the tarp. However, I have nowhere else to set it up. neither will I have options on the AT. So making do, I will have. I'm currently just adjusting the doors, adjusting the stakes, trying to get the height, the tension, and all the good little luxury things. I'm just being slow about it right now. Whenever I'm really getting at it, or if it's raining, I can have this up in a matter of 2 minutes. But right now, I think I'm just going to spend some time adjusting it, getting it to the height I want, and then I'll show you all the weird little details that I've added. Okay, that's adjusted out a little bit better. Got my doors pulled out, and fighting this wind here is something else. So as you can see, them tie downs are tying down, and tie outs are tied down. Because there is a lot of wind coming in from this direction. This is the 13-foot Warbonnet Superfly. I went with the Superfly because the doors that can be closed. Right now I got it kind of open. Just a quick little setup to show you what it's going to look like. Wanted to show you that I'm using the world's smallest carabiners for those quick connects, connected to a crescent knot, which then goes to a simple carabiner on a loop. So you yank it, I'll walk it around the whole tree, and just loop it around the tree and around the carabiner. That took far too long to figure out. Also trying for the first time using a new type of lead, you know, with the little tiny carabiners. But this is paracord with my crappy soil that's super soft and little tiny stakes. So I'm using shot cord for most of my leads connected to the stakes. I'm using shot cord so there's a lot of stretch. This is a very, very stretchy setup. Extremely stretchy. Like crazy how much stretch is in it. But I know the wind on the AT is brutal. I'll give you all a quick peek on the inside here. How much room it has, even with the wind blowing. So I can fit a hammock in there. Wouldn't be hard to do. I'm not going to, because this is a really weird setup the way I have to have it. And I wouldn't typically be broadside to the wind like this anyways. So I'm going to set up my hammock over there. Okay, and that's the basic hammock setup. Again, this is a Warbonnet Blackbird, regular original Blackbird, not the XLC, which I kind of think I should have got the XLC, but should have, could have, would have. I'll think about that later. I did get super strong, super long hammock straps made. You're gonna laugh, but I got reason behind it. I know how big around some of the trees are on the AT. This is an 11-foot hammock. That is a 13-foot tarp. I have to go an extra almost 2 feet to get outside of the tarp to hang the hammock. And then the big old trees I'll have to get around too. So just to be sure, I had two 25-foot hammock straps made. The hammock literally takes less than 2 minutes to hang up. Just wrap it around the tree, wrap it around the carabiner, pull it out, wrap the other side around, And ta-da, the basic setup, not even straightened out. Now I'm going to hook up the under quilt and show you how I have all that set up. Okay, and that's the hammock adjusted out. Got it staked down, got the shelf staked down. So pull out shelf. If you're not familiar with the Warbonnets, this whole piece of fabric here, you can store stuff under, or store stuff in, and it's called a shelf, or they call it a shelf. And wonderful things about the Warbonnet. Wonderful, wonderful things. The Warbonnets have a foot box that comes out here, so you don't lay in it straight, you lay in it asymmetrically. This here is going to be my under quilt and sleeping bag that I will use for the over quilt. If I can get it out here one-handed, which I never considered much of a challenge until recording. Okay, so that's the underquilt. The regular, I think it's like 60 degree, or hold on, I should say down here. Yes, 60 degree. And of course that's going to be a comfort. I mean, it's not keeping you alive at 60. You're not dying at 60. So yeah, that's a 60 degree comfort. And I'll show you how I hook this up real quick. Well, if I can record it. Dang, that Florida weather is crazy. Just in the time it took me to set up this little underquilt, the weather decides that it's going to look like it's going to try to rain. Go figure. So here's the underquilt setup. Well, kind of. Still working on getting it right. Like, I use another little micro carabiner for the just for a quick setup. But since this is not a Warbonnet underquilt, it does not fit the Warbonnet system exactly. So with the Warbonnet, your head and foot size matters. Our sides matter. Like, this is my head side, this will be my foot side. The foot side will always be higher than the head side if you want a good lay. There's a bunch of things you need to know with the Warbonnet in order for the system to work for you and be comfortable. Like, yeah, not just the proper lay, but you don't want your ridge line too tight to start with, or that will create a center tightness down the center of the hammock that will eventually hurt your legs. What I've noticed in my experience. But if you keep it loose to start with and tighten it as you need to, then that doesn't happen, and you can lay really, really, really flat in a hammock. But I wanted to show you that I'm using a carabiner on this side, a purple little tiny one, to mark that this is the head end. And actually this cord should go into there just to be safe. If you followed my hike last summer, y'all would know that this hammock gave me issues. Not this hammock, I mean this underquilt gave me issues. And I had to cut strings and break strings and rig something new up here. So this is the foot end. I got marked with a bigger carabiner. Some of the neat modifications I had to do to make it work for this system is right here. This here's the bug net that's for the hammock, and I used a little S-beaner here to keep my underquilt up. I noticed that whenever you lay in it, since it's asymmetrical, it will shift. One side would ride up real higher than the other side, and that would be rather annoying. And on this side over here, there's this strap. I put a loop in the strap, and the strap is to tie the bug net back. But I put a loop in the strap with an S-beaner on this little piece of the underquilt here to keep this side in place. So now the underquilt does not shift at all. I stay perfectly nestled in it, just like I don't know, just like something that nestles in something. Okay, I had misspoken earlier. The sleeping bag is 30 degrees. It is poly filled and it is heavy, but it is warm. Alrighty, here's some more information about the Marmot sleeping bag. I don't really know what these mean, but maybe y'all do. It was only $100, and I think I probably should have went up to the next grade of gear. Maybe, I don't know, maybe a down, but I don't really like down. I don't know. You can leave me your opinions, what you think. Now this is what I'm planning on starting off with. The underquilt, that overquilt, and my old underquilt. Let me go get that. Okay, and here's one configuration with the other overquilt actually being used over the ridge line under the bug net. So if I wanted a little bit more privacy and a little bit more insulation, that's one way I can do it there, as I can fit under that top quilt, under my sleeping bag, and in the underquilt. I also have a configuration where this top quilt here can be placed between the underquilt and the hammock, and I'm going to try that next. And about something like that with the underquilt being used as an underquilt. Still not the best situation. It's going to shift and slide a lot, but that's something I can work out as time goes by. But this really does increase my thermal rating quite a bit for the underquilt. So just a few more things about the hammock, then I'll move on. Like my clothing I use for a pillow. The simple way I rig that up so it doesn't move. And I think that's about it. Maybe. We'll see. Okay, so we got the warmth. We got the lay right. Got the angle of the ridge line right. And comfortable for me. And the last part to stay comfortable, you need some sort of pillow. Well, I do. I don't use a separate blow-up pillow. I tried that last summer. Wasn't my thing. So I'm using my clothes bag. I'll go what's in my clothing bag later on. It's probably going to change off and on. But let's just say I'm going with smaller layers than one big puffy. And there's a reason for that. Because I've tested it. And that works for me. For the pillow, well, clothes bag that I use as a pillow, it's real simple. It has this, actually what this bag actually is, right? This isn't just a mesh bag. This is actually a mosquito net that they sell at Walmart. I think it's like a Sawyer mosquito net or something. It's made to go over your head to keep the mosquitoes out your face. So I just keep my clothes in that for my clothing bag. But it has this stretchy cord here, and I'm all about the stretchy cord. And I'm going to run it through this little loop right here on the hammock. So, about something like that. And then pull it tight. And that's generally, when I get in there, that'll tighten up. And that's generally enough tension to keep this from moving. And I can adjust it up and down as I need it. It looks almost like a body is already in there. Wow, can y'all hear that? That's construction workers over there. God bless the linemen. Okay. Okay, so that was sleep, shelter, and what am I missing? Pack. So the pack is a ULA catalyst. I mentioned that before. They are rated for 40 pounds. I'm going to be pushing it. I'm going to be right at 37. That's going to be fully loaded with 4 days of food and maybe about 4 liters of water. Yeah, 2 liters in the pack, 2 liters on the shoulder straps, and of course the pack fly, because these are not waterproof. It's a roll top, I think they call them. You roll down the top and lock it down. Has all the water bladder. I got the pack liner in there. And I think that's all that's in there. It's just a pack liner. Yeah. Alrighty, I think the next thing we're going to check out is the food. And yes, it is in a bear canister. This is the BV 500. And it is heavy. I'm still going to take it with me because I know the benefits of having a stool, a table, a water bucket, and a big heavy brick to throw at things. Alrighty, and the Bear Vault 500. I think it's BV 500. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's a 500. It's not the 450. 500. That's the 2 large segments. Okay. We got the bag meta, which is the bag of bags. Super important. There's the toilet paper, which I think should always go with your food. Until just recently, I've learned not to pack your toilet paper inside your bear canister. But we'll get into that story one day. The coffee, maybe 2 days worth. No. Hopefully this will be my first week's worth of coffee on the trail. We got 1 dinner, Ready Wise, hearty tortilla. We got 1 breakfast, Ready Wise, the strawberry granola thing. Haven't tried it yet, interested in doing it. We got hard meat for protein. More hard dried meats for protein. All the apple cider. Yes, and I mean all the apple cider. And then some, because hot apple cider is yum yum on a cold day on the trail. Then we have the Ready Wise spicy Asian noodle. More of the apple cider. We got a deluxe berry multi-grain breakfast. So that's 2 dinners, 2 breakfasts, lots of protein, lots of snacks. We got another dinner, spicy Asian style noodle in the Ready Wise. Then we got another breakfast. The biscuits and gravy in the Mountain House. Everybody's tried and tested. Yeah, it's okay. I don't mind them. So that's, what, 3 breakfasts, 3 dinners, proteins, snacks, and not even my snacks like Cliff bars and Kind bars. Those will be stored in my fanny pack I'll get to one day. But yeah, those will not be stored in the bear can. Other than that, we got the flour tortillas on the bottom. And I suggest if you do this, that you bring the small flour tortillas. Don't try to cram the big ones in there. They don't quite work. Trust me. I figured that out the hard way. Okay, so I got things repacked a little bit. Reconfigured the tarp into my porch mode. Since the weather has died down a little bit, at least the wind has, figure we're going to give porch mode here a shot. Even though it is a bit windy, looks like it's gonna come apart at any minute, which would make a cool video if it does. But it's actually pretty sturdy. The biggest problem I have really is the ground here. I can't get no stakes in really deep. It's not that the ground's hard, it's that there's a literal septic tank under the ground right here. And this is the only spot in my yard where I can put up a 13-foot tarp without it being stretched ridiculously long. Yep, we got cows. But this is going to be my porch mode, with the doors just flapping around. I'll probably have those tied back or tied together. Got my gear in the dry in case this weather decides to not behave. And I'll be with you all in a minute. Before I can say what I wanted to say about the tarp, I gotta feed the cows. That requires taking a bale of hay to that field back there, another bale of hay to a front field up there, but it should take just a few minutes. Then I'll be back on the tarp. Well, so much for being able to tell you everything I had planned on telling you today about why I'm hiking, about my symptoms, what I had planned for the channel, all because I've seemed to have run out of daylight. And I still got to put all this away. So I guess this is going to mean goodbye for now. I'll have to come back at another time and explain why I am hiking and what benefits it does me, my plans for the channel, as I do not plan to have a regular hiking trail Appalachian channel. I am not a hiker. Don't think I am. I am actually a schizophrenic trying to deal with my symptoms and grow from my past. But this is all stuff I want to talk about with you when I have time. But right now, It's done gotten dark, and I'm going to have to put all this away in the dark. Fun times. Catch y'all later.